So there's a YouTube channel. Maybe it's a real show too. I don't know. But it's called Jubilee. And basically what Jubilee does is, or at least what they're most famous for, I should say, is they throw on a lot of like debates. And their debate formats are usually, it's either maybe, 10 on 10, like 10 fit people versus 10 fat people. And they kind of argue that the fit people will say, oh, it's a choice that if you're fat. And the fat people say, well, no, it's not. It's genetics and lifestyle. You're fit because you have more time to exercise, where I work two jobs, desk jobs, and I have kids and I don't have time to exercise. And they kind of go back and forth. Another one is kind of my favorite, actually. It's the one where they have one person that kind of sits literally in the middle of a circle, and they are surrounded by people that have an opposing opinion. And this segment is literally just called Surrounded. Pretty straightforward. And I like the Surroundeds because the Surrounded is something that you can enjoy no matter what you think, believe, your political leanings or anything. They might have one like liberal in the middle surrounded by conservatives. And if you're conservative, sure, the liberal's the main focus, but you have all these people that you can listen to. Or reverse, it might be a conservative in the middle surrounded by libs. And if you're a lib, you can enjoy it because you get to hear when they come and sit and talk to the guy. So anyhow, obviously, I don't want to say obviously, but for me, I personally prefer the conservative ones. I like the one that Ben Shapiro did, Michael Knowles. I listened to the one that Jordan Peterson did. I kind of like the one that Destiny did too, not because of him, but just because of the people sitting around him, which again, case in point of what I said earlier. And then there was one by Charlie Kirk. Now, that's what this video is actually going to be. I want to talk about what I think based on Charlie Kirk's opinions. Now, ironically, it almost seems like this is something I'm doing because of Charlie Kirk's passing. That's not the case at all. Not that there's anything wrong with that if I were to do this because of him in his unfortunate situation. It's just this is actually something I've been thinking about doing forever, like ever since that episode aired. I just haven't had the time to do it until now. I finally have an hour or something that I can spend chatting with myself to do this. So, with that intro out of the way, let's just get into it. So my plan is, each one of his segments, I'm just going to pop him in here, what he actually said, edit him in, and then I'm going to say my part, and that's basically how this is going to go. So I think he has 4 talking points. I'm just going to say what I think about his 4 talking points, because some of them I do agree strongly with, but I feel like his angle is more, how do I phrase this? His angle is more speculative, I guess, where my angle is more lived. And then another thing about his is some of his ideas I don't agree with at all. And I just think, well, the people that he's surrounded by don't really have a good opportunity to try to express themselves just because of the nature of the game. And B, they just don't express themselves well because they're not good at expressing themselves well. And C, I mean, you're right there debating Charlie, so he keeps interjecting, so you can't really say what you want or need to say, and then you get frustrated and those people kind of screw up. Not like what I'm going to say is great either, but at least I can do this uninterrupted and just say what I need to say, and yeah. So anyways, without much more further ado, let's get into it. Charlie's first topic.
My first prompt is, abortion is murder and should be illegal.
Okay, so as we saw, Charlie's first claim, that's what they call it. I keep saying take or whatever position. It's claim. His first claim is that abortion is murder and should be illegal. So on one hand, I mean, he's not wrong. Abortion literally is murder. I mean, you have a baby growing inside you, which a baby is a living being. And if you let it go to full term, you'd have a kid, you'd have another person in the world, you'd have another person in your family, and all that. So yes, when you terminate that, obviously it is murder. I mean, what else would you call it? If you end someone else's life, that's always definitionally murder. So yes, an abortion literally is a murder of a baby. Now, here's the thing though. He says it should be illegal. I don't think it should be illegal. This is one position that I'm a lib on. Like, for the most part, I don't agree with any of the crap the libs say. Very unlib. But this is one position that I'm on the lib side. I'm pro-choice. I feel like, if that's what you want to do. It's your decision. It's your, not to say body, because it's not your body. It is a separate being, but you're still going to be long-term responsible for it. And in a lot of cases, I feel like maybe the termination is the right choice. Let's take an example of like young kids. You know, 14-year-olds are fooling around like idiots. Girl gets pregnant. Should she really have to keep that? I mean, she's a ninth grader in high school. Her parents are still liable for her until she's 18. And now what? They're going to have their grandchild living in the house as well? And obviously this kid doesn't have a job. You're 14. So how are you going to afford this kid? You're going to have to go on the state, or you're going to have your parents pay, but otherwise you're going to go on the state, get state assistance, and now that means all of us should have to pay, everyone else should have to pay, you know, through their taxes and stuff for your child because you made a terrible decision at a young age. That doesn't seem right. So maybe the abortion is the sensible, reasonable, practical choice in that moment. Like, hey, I am not ready for this at all. I'm still a kid myself. Maybe we should end it. And that's the mother only I'm talking about. You get the father as well. He's also a kid. And then what? You know, does he stick around? I mean, he's a kid. Most adults don't stick around. Never mind a kid. So that just gets to be a weird situation that maybe ending it is just the best option. Then, you know, make better choices. You move forward. And then when you're ready for it, in your 20s, let's say, then you have the kid. And then you know, hey, I'm financially stable. I have a steady boyfriend or husband. Now I can do this. You know, another situation that I think is very reasonable if you had an abortion is if you're a rape victim, no matter what it is, whether it's some random stranger or in a lot of cases, like an uncle, kind of like in, what's that movie, Split? Where Anna Taylor-Joy's uncle is, it's never really explicitly shown, but it's very implied that he was molesting her. So in that case, what if you end up getting pregnant? You're supposed to keep that kid? You're supposed to bring that thing to term? And I feel like one thing that the pro-life people that are super pro-life never think about is the kid itself. They just think of it like big picture, like, oh, well, every life is precious, every life matters, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, okay, but what about that person? This baby someday is going to be an adult with thoughts and feelings and all this. And you think that person should have to grow up knowing, wow, my mom and dad, one, didn't want me. They weren't trying to conceive me. Like I'm not even an accident. It's not like my parents were together and oops, you're pregnant. It was my mom's uncle violated her in a horrendous way. She ended up getting me in her because of this, and now I'm here. Like, my dad is a piece of crap that I don't want to know. I do know because he's part of my family, but I don't want to know him. My mom obviously has some kind of weird resentment about my existence. Even if she gives me all the love in the world, you know, I'm still not here from happy means. Like, and now this person's going to think about that all the time. Like, wow, like I'm worse than a mistake, worse than a screw up. I'm just something that's a product of something terrible. Like, do you think that that's fair, that somebody should have to grow up living with that knowledge and knowing that? You know, and then what's even worse, well, maybe not worse, but if it is someone random, like let's say in Sopranos, when Melfi was violated in the hallway, let's say she was probably not at her age, but let's say she was a little younger and did conceive, ended up getting pregnant. Now, from what I understand, scientifically speaking, you can't get pregnant when you're raped because the body basically shuts down. It understands that this isn't good, I don't want this, and so it almost like just rejects everything. So you can't get pregnant, but there's still the chance. And like, so what if she got pregnant? She's supposed to keep the kid? And now this kid has to grow up knowing that, wow, like my dad is just an absolute piece of garbage. He's somewhere out in the world. I don't want to meet him, or maybe I do want to meet him just so I can kill him or something. And now this person that you kept from some, I don't know, oh, it's illegal, it's murder if we get rid of it, so we made it illegal. Now this person's a murderer, and it's like, okay, so one life was still taken. So what's better? The life that did something heinous being taken, and now this life is in jail? So basically two lives are screwed up. Or, well, three, because you didn't get the victim as well that mothered this child. Or does this person just eliminate this person, so now the murder never happens, this person isn't suffering in jail, and really the only one that's left suffering is this one? One person suffering or three? What's better? Like, there's a lot more to this than just like your, I don't know, ideological, theological reasons for why abortion's bad. I can't because of this. I also think in some cases, you never know. Maybe it's a person who's, I don't know, maybe not a kid, but an adult, young 20s or something, but in like a bad relationship. Her boyfriend got her pregnant, but he's abusive, doesn't work, something. He's a loser in some way, and she's just like, man, I shouldn't keep this. Well, maybe it's good if you get rid of it, because what if it ends up growing up to be something heinous? What if it's the next Hitler? I mean, Hitler eliminated, 11 million people during his reign? What's worse, if Hitler was aborted or 11 million people being killed? Which one's worse? I think eliminating that baby Hitler is a lot better, because that's 10,999,999 less people that were killed. Or maybe the next Genghis Khan or whatever, you know what I mean? All these people that did vile things, if they were just terminated, they'd never have the chance to. Yeah, they say, oh, well, each life has value and it could be the next president or this or that. Yeah, sure, it could. But at the same time, those odds are also very low. Sure, you could be the next president, but you know what? With the addition of you, that just makes your probability of it happening even less. You know what I mean? Like right now, the chances of anybody becoming president are 1 in 3 billion, or what's the U.S. population? 300 million, 400 million? So your odds are 1 in 400 million. We add one more person, now it's 1 in 400 million and one. It just got less. So you know what I mean? Like, they could become president, but statistically speaking, they have even a worse chance now because they just added to the roster of options. And then the other thing, to go along with like a Bill Burr joke, they could just be another useless person just existing, not really adding anything to society at all. Just kind of wandering around day to day, going to their dumb manufacturing job or whatever, just pushing a button at work, then they go home, drinking on the weekends with their friends, watching movies, and then the cycle just continues, and they achieve nothing in life, they don't become anything, they don't go anywhere, they're just another cog in the wheel. And it's like, did that life really matter in the first place? Not really. You're just another thing in the way. So maybe if you were aborted, who cares? What loss is there? Your job you have, someone else would have gotten. That TV that you bought, someone else would have bought it. That show that you watched, other people are watching it too. I don't know. I don't take as extreme of a case as they do. And I just don't get it. I don't understand why the pro-life side cares so much. What do you care about some random woman and what she wants to do with her potential baby? Why do you care so much about a baby that you'll never meet? I mean, all these aborted babies, would you ever have met them? No, you wouldn't have. You'd never know them. You'll never know their names. There's tons of babies aborted all the time. You don't know the mothers. You don't know the fathers. You don't know anything. What difference does it make? I don't get this real egregious position that it should be illegal. I don't think it should be illegal. There's definitely plenty of scenarios where it's justified. The only part I do agree with is, yes, it technically is murder. You can't argue that. Yes, it is. But otherwise, I do want to say this, though. The only part I don't agree with, if you're going to do an abortion, is I don't think anything like late term. Like, I think your first trimester is fair game. Anything after that, it's pretty well developed. Like, you need to understand it's too late. You have a kid now. Like, now you're just straight up killing a baby. First semester, it's kind of just a thing. It's not really a baby. Yeah, they'll argue, oh, well, look, it's developing. But it's like Bill Burr's joke. Keep referencing him. He has that joke with the cake where he says, what if I put all the ingredients in a pan, I throw it in the oven, and 5 minutes later, some dickhead comes in, takes my pan out and throws it. And I say, what the F did you do that for? I was baking a cake. And the guy says, well, it wasn't a cake. It's just a whole slop of ingredients in a pan. And then Bill Burr says, yeah, but if you let it cook for the 50 minutes, like I had the timer set, I would have had a cake. Well, sure, the ingredients are there, but it's not a cake. It is just a slop of mixed together ingredients sitting in a pan. And that's the same thing as like a first trimester baby. It's not really a person. Sure, it will be if you let it keep going. But for now, it's just a thing. It has no thoughts. It has no memories. It has no feelings. It has nothing. It doesn't know. It probably doesn't even have consciousness yet. It's just a thing. But yeah, some of these abortions that they want to do, like I've heard recently about like late term, like 9 months. Like that's insane. That is way late. Like, no. And I've heard even worse, in some cases under Biden's administration, there was some hospitals that you would give birth And you still had 30 days to determine if you wanted to abort it or not. And it was like, that's not an abortion. That is a baby sitting there. You can look at it, hug it, kiss it, talk to it, hear it crying. That is not an abortion if you go and abort it. So those insane situations, yeah, those should be illegal. Those are crazy. Like, if you decide after you give birth that you don't want your kid, put it up for adoption. Don't try to have a doctor murder it and call it an abortion. That is not an abortion. That's the other thing, too. Some of these situations, like, I forgot to say this about my examples earlier, like if you're raped or whatever, and there's some people might argue, well, you could put it up for adoption. Why? Why would you put it up for adoption, though? You mean that mother would still have to go through the pregnancy, though? Still have to experience it growing and go through all that and know that, wow, this baby's growing inside of me, and it's something I don't want because of the situation that happened to me, and then still have to deliver it, and then who knows what happens after that, because women start to get sentimental. Then they realize, oh, I had a baby in me, and then, so now she's got double trauma going on. She's traumatized that she was pregnant and has nothing to, as an end result, because she put it up for adoption, but at the same time, she's traumatized because that baby only exists because she was raped. So, no, just get the abortion and avoid at least some of that. I don't know. There's also another take here that is crazy that Charlie says, and it is very insane. Like, when I first heard it, I was like, what? And that's like how all the panel acts as well. So let's just pop that in here, and I'll talk about that real quick.
So if you had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped, and she was going to give birth, and she would, and she was going to give birth and she was going to live, would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
That's awfully graphic.
But it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Oh, okay, great. So that's insane.
But let me tell you why. No, hold on. Let me ask you a question. There's 2 ultrasounds I have. One is a baby conceived in one is a baby conceived by a loving couple. Which one is which?
Your daughter was hopefully conceived by a somewhat loving couple.
Which person here was conceived by rape? Tell me which one was conceived by rape.
You don't know.
Exactly, because it's all human rights and it's all human beings.
But that doesn't matter. It's about your daughter who has to give birth to it and is going to be tortured by that for the rest of her life.
Yeah, so as I said, to me, that's a pretty wild take. Like, if you had a child, I mean, geez, the example there was a 10-year-old. If a 10-year-old was violated and she got pregnant, Charlie says, yep, we would keep it because, which one was conceived from rape? Which one was conceived from a loving couple? That's not the point, bro. The point that they're making is that she was conceived in a heinous way. Now, he goes on to argue that, well, you don't correct an evil with another evil. 2 evils don't make a positive. And, like, okay, I get that. It's like the 2 wrongs don't make a right argument. But at the same time, like, that's just insane. A 10-year-old, she should have to go through that. So she's in 5th grade. She should have to go through 5th grade, be pregnant, and deliver that child as a child herself when she didn't even want to bring that on herself. She was violated, and all because of some moral grandstanding of, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Which child is from rape? Which one's from a loving family? Like, that is a wild take. Like, yeah, you should get an abortion at that point. That is crazy. You don't want, that child should not have to be a mother at 10 years old. That child shouldn't exist in either one of your lives. You shouldn't be a grandparent to something like that, and that child shouldn't have to be a mother to something like that when it's a violation like that. That's insane. It's a weird take. So, yeah. And then another thing I want to say that I forgot to mention earlier was another thing I don't like, though, is I also think that abortion should be limited. Like, I don't think, it seems a lot like the left thinks that abortions are just like non-stop birth control. Like, I'm pregnant again, gonna kill this. I'm pregnant again, gonna kill this. I'm up to number 17. I think you should have a limit, like maybe 3 in your lifetime. And that has to stay on your medical record so the doctors know. So if you're going for a 4th one, it's like, well, that's your fault. You should have learned from the first 3 times. I mean, I think 3 is a bit excessive, too. 1 should be good enough. You should screw up once and learn from your mistakes. But 3 gives a little bit of a buffer, but I don't think this should just be a constant thing. Like, the left treats it like that's just birth control. Can't use condoms, can't do the pull-out method, can't take birth control, can't just have abstinence. Nope, just gotta raw dog it and go all the way. I'm pregnant, time to do my birth control and kill it. Like, that's just retarded and very, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. You don't plan things out properly or anything. Like, that's just what you think. We're just going to do this and then just go and kill it, and that's fine. 3 should be the max. And then after that, like I said, your 4th, oh well, that's your kid. You should have learned from the first 3 times. Are you that dumb that you can't learn a lesson after 3 times? How many times do you need before you learn a lesson? So, anyways, now let's move on to
my next claim is that college is a scam.
All right, the next claim being college is a scam. This is the one that I have real life experience from. Now, in the intro, I said that Charlie has something that he's kind of speculative on, doesn't really live it. This is the one I was talking about, because he didn't go to college, or if he did, he didn't go for very long. He dropped out shortly thereafter and started Turning Point USA. So he doesn't really have full-on experience from what he's talking about. I do, and I do agree with him on his position, but I think we have different reasonings for it, because I live it. He doesn't. He doesn't, whatever you want to say. So anyways, I have 3 degrees. I went to a lot of college, obviously. And I agree 100% that it is a scam. I think it's a scam for a lot of reasons. First off, let's talk about my pay. I'm not going to tell you exactly what I make, but like, I do okay. I'm not struggling, but at the same time, it's not as much as you would think. For somebody that has 3 degrees and has been in my field for 15 years, it should definitely be a lot more than it is. Like, I mildly struggle here and there in life. I should be at a point where I'm not struggling. Based on all the propaganda that you're told in high school, and even when you start in college, they make it sound like you're going to be living so much better. Oh, you went to college? Oh, I saw this graphic that says people with an associate's make $1 million more in their lifetime than someone with just a high school diploma. And people with a bachelor's, oh, that's $2 million more than people with just high school diplomas. Well, where's my $2 million extra? Because I don't feel like I'm doing that well. To compare myself to other people that I know one person who's a high school dropout, and for the longest time, they were making basically the same amount I did. Here I was, 3 college degrees, making this just about the same amount as a high school dropout. I think I was making a few bucks more an hour, and it was like, really, college? I thought I was supposed to be making, I was supposed to be making $2 million at least more than a high school graduate. This person's not even a graduate, so what does that mean? What should I be making? $2.5 million more? Where? Then you got another person that I know is a high school graduate, but has no college or nothing, just graduated high school and got a job. And this guy makes probably $10 more an hour than I do. I got 3 degrees. Why is he making $10 more an hour than I do? How does that make any sense? Because college lies to you. See, college is just a business, and and every business, I should say, means customers. And what's a college's customers? Students. So, of course, they're going to throw whatever propaganda out there that they can to recruit you. And then, people like me fall for it. I didn't know. This was, early 2000s. My mom didn't know either. She pushed me. I did well in school. Always did well in school. And so she was, oh, you need to go to college. You need to go to college. You need to go to college. That's what she was always focused on. And then that was in my head. Okay, I got to go to college. I got to go to college. Guidance counselors. Hey, if you want to go to college, come talk to us. Recruiters at the school, propaganda all over the school. It's all you ever see is college. So it was like, okay, I gotta go to college. And then I went and I got my first degree, which is kind of useless. And then I got my second degree, which is something good. And then I got my third degree, which was something even better than my second degree. And yet my third degree, which is, I'll just tell you, it's a bachelor's in mathematics. I thought math was a hot field. It's one of the STEM fields, or STEAM, whichever way you look at that acronym. Science, technology, engineering, math, or science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. It's one of those. And, I thought math was something that a lot of people struggled with, which made me feel like, ooh, this is a good opportunity. Math, I'm good at math. And numbers are just like this to me. So I was like, I should be able to find something, no problem. And I found nothing. I graduated, 2015? And from 2015 until COVID, because then I gave up during COVID because I thought, nobody's going to be hiring now. Businesses are shutting down and all this because of COVID lockdowns and stuff. But for those 5 years, I applied everywhere. I applied to banks. I applied to insurance companies. I applied to high schools, colleges. I applied to, what else? I don't know. There was something else I applied to too. I applied to everything that had anything affiliated with numbers in any way. And never heard anything back. The best I heard back was one time, I think it was 2017, a local college reached out to me and offered me a position to be a math teacher, but the class was at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I had specifically put, I need to do an evening class if you want to hire me. So they sent me this opportunity, and I was like, I can't do this. And thanks for the opportunity. This is pretty cool that you reached out to me, but I need a class that's after 5 p.m. I can't do a 2 p.m. class. I have a day job. And that was it. Nothing ever again. So here I am with a degree that I thought was going to be something good and haven't really done anything with it. It's just there. I just have it. It's hanging up on my wall in my bedroom. Like, okay, it's cool to look at, but it's absolutely useless. It has done nothing for me. Luckily, my second degree, the first real one, is the one that's been carrying me. I've been able to get jobs with that at least. But my math one, useless. So it's like, does going into a STEM field, whatever, actually matter? Does getting a bachelor's really matter? Apparently not. As I have a real life example of it not mattering at all. It's done nothing for me. The other thing, and then, like I said, with money too, it's just like, I feel like where I'm at financially is just like, okay. I'm not doing great, but I'm not doing super terrible. But it's like, shouldn't I be doing a lot better than I am doing? According to all the propaganda, I should be, but I'm not. And then the other thing you got to think about too is, you're starting life with a lot of debt. Now, before I went to college, this is something I did think of. I was like, geez, the loans are scary. Like, I don't want to start life with however much debt this is going to be. And so that was always in the back of my mind. But I always thought, well, tons of other people do it. There's tons of people that go to college and get loans and they figure it out. So I was like, man, it's probably not that big a deal. No, loans do suck. You know why? Because just like anything else, they're extremely predatory. Your interest rate is super high, and majority of your bill that you pay each month is like all interest. Like my monthly payment is like $200 a month. And I think out of that, it's like 187 is interest. I'm really only paying like $13 a month towards my principal, which is ridiculous. I think student loans should either A, have an extremely low interest rate, like 0.5%, because at the end of the day, sure, banks are a business as well, and they want to make some money. So it should either be something super low, like 0.5%, or they should just not have interest on student loans at all. You're going to college to try to better your future by getting a degree and putting yourself into a more niche field where you can make more money. And you just need a little bit of money so that then you can get to that end result. So you get a loan. Like, why do I have to pay a ridiculous amount of interest on that just to get a degree? Makes no sense. And then another thing, too, is, I graduated with my first degree, my first good degree, back in 2011. And here it is, 2025, 14 years later, and I'm still paying on that loan. I have it like half paid off. So that's another problem too. 14 years later, I'm still paying on a loan. I've been in my job, in my career for 14 years now. Worked my way up from just a grunt at my first position to the top position now at my company I'm with currently. And I'm still paying on that stupid loan. I can't even remember what it was like going to college there because it was so long ago. Yeah, I'm still paying for it. So that's another thing that's kind of like a scam. Paying and paying and paying all these years, 14 years paying this one stupid bill. In a way, you're almost better off just going and getting a loan to like do your own startup. Get a loan to get a truck and a lawnmower and just start your own mowing business or something. Get a plow so you can do some plowing in winter. You're way better off doing that instead of getting a degree. Degrees are just continuous problems and borderline scams. Now, the difference with Charlie is he just says it's a scam because everything's liberal arts nowadays. Well, liberal, I should say, nowadays. So they just teach you like dumb stuff. And a lot of people are going for like useless degrees. Like, oh, I got my master's in queer gender studies. And it's like, all right, cool. Have fun never getting a job with that. But still, I'm talking more from a real life perspective. Oh, and that's another thing too. I almost forgot. Another thing that I've always thought was a scam and never made sense was when colleges make you take stupid classes you don't need. Like, I have a degree in engineering and mathematics. Yet I've had to. It was part of my curriculum. I had to take a class in philosophy. What do I need to have philosophy for? Art history. What do I need that for? I don't need that for engineering or for math. I've also taken, what other useless class have I had? I've had a class in, like Excel. I mean, I guess I can see the value in Excel, but why did I have to be forced to take an Excel class? It taught me nothing because, ironically, the teacher that I had didn't know Excel. So he taught us on the board everything that you would do in Excel. He did it freehand on the board. So even though I was supposed to learn Excel, I didn't even learn Excel in that class. So I had to pay for this class that was supposed to teach me Excel, and yet I didn't learn Excel at all. Now, do I know Excel? I do know Excel, but I know Excel from using it in real life at my job. It's not because of that stupid class that I had to take. And there's a lot of classes like that they force you to take that have absolutely nothing to do with your program at all. And that's something I've always thought was a scam, because I was like, why do I have to take this, which I'm paying for, when it's not going to benefit me at all in my career? So, yes, I definitely do agree that college is a scam. And when my daughter's older, I'm going to talk to her and tell her, like, hey, these are your options. I'm not going to tell you can't go to college, because who am I to say that when I went and got 3 degrees? But based on my experience, maybe consider something else. Maybe consider, I don't know, trying to learn a trade from YouTube or something, doing some practicing at home and getting good at it, or, take out a personal loan and try to do something, or, there's other options that are probably a lot better than falling into the scam of college. Also, as a random side note right now, before we get to Charlie's third point, I know my lighting is a little crappier now. It's because my ring light battery just died. I don't have time to charge it. I don't feel like charging it. This is what I have time right now to make this video, so I'm going to be doing this now. And yeah, so this is what the lighting looks like now. It's kind of crappy, but it is what it is. Anyways, on to Charlie's third point.
And my next claim is that trans women are not women.
All right, this one is absolutely obvious. It's kind of ridiculous that it's actually debatable, though, because he's obviously surrounded by all these libs, and they're running up to argue with him that somehow a man that pretends to be a woman on the daily is now a woman. Like, nope, he's not. He's got a dick. He's got some balls. He has to shave every day. He ain't no woman. I mean, there's really nothing to argue about there. There's nothing for me to add from my perspective. It's 100% true. Trans women are not women. Trans men are not men. And it's stupid that this is any kind of argument. 20 years ago, we knew this. When Galaxia was in Anger Management, that movie with Jack Nicholson and Adam Sandler, nobody was calling him an actual woman. We all knew that Woody Harrelson's character was dressing up as a girl to do his prostituting at night. His, what do they call it? Moonlighting as a prostitute, a female prostitute. But nowadays it would be, oh no, he's a woman. That's a woman. No, it's not. It's a guy pretending to be. It always has been and always will be. Jeez, it's down to your biology. Someday if an archaeologist digs us up and finds a trans woman's skeleton and checks it out, they're going to say, yeah, this was a male, this tall, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to be like, oh, well, this was a guy that loved to pretend he was a girl every day. Must have been trans. You're not going to know that. Because they're not a fucking woman. It's so stupid though. Our society will argue this. And this is an actual point that Charlie can bring to the table for debate. That's insane. This should just be a no-brainer. Charlie, what are you trying to talk about right now? But the left is so psychotic that he can have a whole 15-minute segment on this. It's like, what else was I going to say? I don't know. But yeah, trans women are not women. End of story. The trans women are women movement is so stupid that I could make a video or whatever and say, oh, I'm actually a woman tomorrow. I could do it in this video. Be like, well, you know what? Now that we're talking about trans women aren't women, I just want to come out and say, I'm trans. I'm actually a woman. And the left would be like, oh, congratulations. Look, we got a new girl on the team. And it's like, what? 5 minutes ago I was a guy. Now I say I'm a girl and you're just like, okay, yep, that's reality. That's how things work. You just say what you are. As a side note, that's just something I don't understand about these psycho lefties either. Where does this come from? They wake up one day, literally must wake up one day and they're like, you know what? I think I'm going to use Z-Zer pronouns. Yeah, that's what I am. Or they wake up, you know what? I'm trans. Yeah, I'm a woman. Yeah. How do you just randomly make this up out of nowhere and then expect everyone's supposed to just play along? What's worse, though, is the dumb left does play along. They're like, oh, really? Okay, congratulations on being your true self. No, they ain't their true self. They didn't like their true self, and they killed it. Because if you use the real name after, then it's dead name. No, don't dead name me. Oh, I can't believe you. Why, Bruce? Because I'm using your real name instead of calling you Caitlin? I'm not saying he's ever done that, but that's the only, like, most famous trans person I can think of that we know both names. But yeah, it's just, these people are psychos. Anyways, let's get to Charlie's last point, because I don't really have much else to add. It's way too obvious to try to debate. One more thing, actually. I hate that I keep thinking of these as I go on. But another thing I don't get is, like, how actual women will argue that trans women are women. It's like, that is the most delusional thing. Why are you going to argue that a man pretending to be what you are, an actual woman, why are you going to pretend that he actually is a woman? Like, I don't get that. You know, as an actual woman yourself, you go through things that guy is never going to experience. You go through potentially guys checking you out like, oh, hey, baby, cat calling or whatever. You go through female puberty. Guys don't know what it's like to have your period start. Guys don't know what it's like when your jugs start growing. Yeah, maybe a trans guy will go and get some implants, but that's different. Like, he bought them. One day he's normal, and the next day, boom. Where a girl, when they're actually growing, you don't know what that's like. You don't know what anything's like about being a girl. And it's just crazy when actual women, like, defend like a few of them in this segment are there defending that trans women are women. It's like, you are a woman. What are you doing defending a guy pretending? That's so weird. Like, what makes it even weirder is they're also on the same team that they would complain, oh, we don't need no men. Oh, all men are bad. Oh, this, that, all that. But yet you're going to defend a guy that pretends he's a girl? What? There is no logic at all. Anyways, let's get on to the next segment now, because I think that's finally it.
My next claim is that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate.
So Charlie claims that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, which means diversity, equity, and inclusion, which means didn't deserve the position that she had. And yes, that is 100% true. Kamala really is DEI. I mean, you can't even argue that. It's basically been confirmed by Joe Biden himself. He needed a woman, and so that just got rid of any male candidates for VP that he had. And he needed a woman that could check off a few boxes. And guess what? Kamala checks off a lot of boxes for the left and all their dumb DEI nonsense. She's a woman. She has darker skin. You know, she's brown, so you can use that to be anything. Like when she lies and claims that she's black. She's Jamaican descent. She's Indian descent. Not Native American, real Indian, like India. She's also in an interracial marriage, which I'm sure that helps out quite a bit on things. And did I say she's a woman? Obviously that helps. That should be the first one that I said. You know, she's an alcoholic, so that probably, no, that's just a joke. But, well, not that she's an alcoholic. There's plenty of videos out there where she's wasted, but that's not a DEI thing. But, yeah, she ticks off a whole bunch of boxes. So, yeah, of course they want her. Oh, the only thing that would make her better is if she was also a lesbian. Then they'd be, oh my God, look, a perfect candidate. Oh my God, she checks off every single box that we could have. If only she was trans now. Maybe if she used to be a man, that would be it. That would be the ticket. But yeah, she's DEI as F. She did not deserve to be vice president for sure. She sucked at it. She had no proper qualifications. Sure, the left will, oh, she was this in California, she was that. Okay, and she sucked at her job when she had it. Her first position she only had because she was whoring around with Willie Brown, who was the mayor or something at the time, and just gave her the position. She didn't even earn it. I mean, look at her as the front runner to be, against Trump in the most recent election, the 2024 election. Like, she had no business being the front runner of the party like that. When she tried to go, when Joe Biden ended up being the nominee, she got 3% of the vote then? But now by default, instead of having any primaries, they're just like, no, we'll just give it to Kamala. That's fine. That makes sense. We'll give it to the least popular candidate that we have for president. That makes sense. Kamala is DEI as F. She sucked in her position. She would have been horrible as president. She had no positions. Look at all of her interviews. She had nothing to say. She got the one on The View where they're like, name one thing you do different than Biden. She's like, I can't think of anything. I think the presidency that he had was perfect. I would not change a single thing. And it's like, really? There's about 800 things you could do to improve. You can't think of one? Or, anytime she was asked questions, she couldn't ever have a good answer. She couldn't do the thing with Joe Rogan because, that was way too long. 3 hours. She can't freestyle 3 hours with him. She needs to have a script. It needs to be fully vetted and under control and all this. And yet that's supposed to be running the country? Someone that can't even do a 3-hour discussion with someone? Okay, not DEI though, right? She definitely deserved to be almost the president, right? Yeah. Yeah, she was 100% DEI. Even just becoming VP, it was all DEI. She checked off so many boxes that it was perfect for the Democrats, perfect for the libs, and apparently it worked. You know, libs were happy with her, even though she absolutely sucks. She had one job, border czar. She's horrible at it. Tom Homan comes in. He's not even the border czar anymore, and he did 7 trillion% better of a job than she did in a matter of months. She had 4 years and couldn't handle it. And she's supposed to be president? Okay. Good thing is, Democrats suck, and most likely their party's going to be dying. Now, they do talk about other parties rising up, but I'm like, okay, what's that mean, though? Democrats are just going to migrate there? So instead of AOC and Chuck Schumer and Gavin Newsom being Democrats, they're going to be whatever this new party is and just be a virus and ruin that? So you'll still basically have Democrats versus Republicans, libs versus conservatives. It's just going to be conservative. It's just going to be a different name. It won't be Democrat. It'll be whatever, Green Party. Oh, but it's all libs or whatever. But yeah, that broad, DEI as F. And again, I almost feel like it's one of the ones just like the trans women aren't women argument. You can't really argue that. It's just fact. She was. And Biden himself basically confirmed it. Yeah, he doesn't straight up come out and say, oh yeah, she's DEI. But his explanation of why he chose her is like, oh, you chose her because she's DEI. Got it. All right. Like, I thought, what's the left's phrase? We prefer truth over fact. Well, that's the truth. So get used to it, I guess. Anyways, I think that's it. There's only 4 points that they talk about. 15 minutes each. So that's an hour. And then they have another debate at the end. That's 10 minutes, I think. That's the hour 10. They have a little interview. So then that's like the whole video ends up being an hour and a half long with all that extra crap. So that's the 4 points. Mostly I wanted to make this video just to talk about his abortion point and to expand on his school is a scam, college is a scam, I should say, point, because I've lived it and I agree. And also, like I said, with his abortion one, I just think that's very extreme. But yeah, all the ones are kind of too obvious for me to really expand on. They are what they are, but whatever, they're there, so I wanted to talk about it too. So, yeah, if you listen to this whole thing with me, that's pretty cool. Thanks. Appreciate it. If not, well, I guess this doesn't matter what I'm saying because you aren't there to hear it. But anyways, if you are still here, thanks for checking this out with me. And until next time, I said see ya.